Queen Cleopatra VII is one of the most iconic figures in history. Known for her intelligence, charisma, and legendary beauty, Cleopatra ruled Egypt during a time of great political upheaval. But her legacy goes beyond the myths. She was a strategic leader, a diplomat, and a symbol of Egypt's rich culture, which endured through her reign. Born in 69 BCE, Cleopatra was part of the Ptolemaic dynasty, a Macedonian Greek family that ruled Egypt. She was not only beautiful but highly educated. Fluent in several languages, she studied literature, mathematics, and science. From a young age, Cleopatra was trained to rule, and her intelligence would later be one of her most powerful assets. After her father's death, Cleopatra ascended to the throne at just 18 years old. She initially ruled alongside her brother, Ptolemy XIII, but soon became the sole ruler of Egypt after a fierce power struggle. Cleopatra's reign marked a period of political cunning, where she would forge alliances and make critical decisions to protect Egypt's independence. In 48 BCE, Cleopatra famously met Julius Caesar. According to legend, she had herself smuggled into his presence rolled in a carpet, a testament to her ingenuity. This meeting began a partnership that would shape the fate of both Egypt and Rome, as Cleopatra secured Egypt's sovereignty by aligning with Caesar. After Caesar's assassination, Cleopatra turned her sights to another Roman leader, Mark Antony. Their love affair is legendary, and together they formed a powerful alliance. They ruled Egypt as partners, fighting against Rome's rising power. Their love story became one of the most dramatic and tragic romances in history. Cleopatra and Mark Antony's union threatened Rome's stability. In 31 BCE, their forces faced off against Octavian, the future Emperor Augustus, in the Battle of Actium. Unfortunately, Cleopatra and Antony's fleet was defeated, leading to their eventual downfall. After their defeat, Antony, believing Cleopatra had died, fell on his sword. Cleopatra, heartbroken and unwilling to be paraded as a captive in Rome, famously ended her life by allowing a venomous snake to bite her. Thus, Egypt's last pharaoh passed into legend. Cleopatra's beauty has been romanticized for centuries. Ancient writers often emphasized her appearance, but it was her intelligence, charisma, and political acumen that truly captivated the people around her. Her allure wasn't just physical, it was her power, grace, and the ability to command respect. Cleopatra's image has influenced art, literature, and cinema for generations. Her iconic look, with dramatic makeup and elaborate costumes, has been reimagined throughout history. Cleopatra's reign was also marked by a flourishing of Egyptian culture, blending Greek and Egyptian traditions. Cleopatra remains one of the most famous women in history. She ruled in a male-dominated world and became a symbol of Egypt's last days of independence. Her legacy endures as a figure of strength, intellect, and beauty, immortalized in both fact and fiction. As Queen of Egypt, Cleopatra embraced both the Egyptian and Greek religions. She presented herself as the living embodiment of the goddess Isis, a move that not only strengthened her divine status among the Egyptian people, but also aligned her with one of the most powerful and revered deities of Egypt. This religious role further solidified her authority, both politically and spiritually. As the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic kingdom, Cleopatra's reign marked the end of over 3,000 years of Egyptian pharaonic history. Her ability to speak the Egyptian language, unlike many of her Greek predecessors, and her devotion to preserving Egyptian customs were key in maintaining her position as a true pharaoh in the eyes of her people. Cleopatra's relationship with Julius Caesar was not just romantic, but also politically motivated. She sought an alliance that would ensure Egypt's survival amidst the growing power of Rome. With Caesar's support, she re-established herself on the throne and secured Egypt's independence for a time. Their relationship produced a son, Ptolemy Caesar, known as Caesarion. Cleopatra was a master diplomat, using her intelligence and charm to influence both Egyptian and Roman politics. She understood the importance of playing the political game and balancing Egypt's interests with Rome's growing dominance. Through her relationships with powerful Roman leaders, she ensured Egypt's survival during her reign. Following the defeat at the Battle of Actium, Cleopatra's fate was sealed. Rome's grip on Egypt tightened, and her alliance with Mark Antony crumbled under the pressure. Despite their best efforts, the couple could not overcome the military might of Octavian, leading to their tragic end and the fall of Egypt. In her final days, Cleopatra faced the harsh reality that Rome would take control of Egypt. Rather than surrender and face humiliation as a Roman captive, she chose to end her life on her own terms. The image of Cleopatra's tragic death by the bite of an asp remains one of the most famous moments in history. After Cleopatra's death, her children, with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, were left in a precarious position. Caesarion, her son with Caesar, was captured and executed by Octavian, eliminating any threat to Rome's power. Her other children were taken to Rome, where they disappeared from history. Despite this, Cleopatra's legacy endured through the centuries. Roman historians often portrayed Cleopatra in a negative light, depicting her as a seductress who used her beauty to manipulate powerful men. However, modern interpretations recognize her as a brilliant leader who skillfully navigated a complex political landscape. Cleopatra was not just a queen, she was a symbol of Egyptian strength and culture. The final resting place of Cleopatra remains one of history's greatest mysteries. Many believe she was buried alongside Mark Antony in a grand tomb, though its location has never been discovered. Archaeologists continue to search for her lost tomb, hoping to uncover the final chapter in the story of Egypt's last queen. Centuries after her death, Cleopatra continues to captivate the imagination of people around the world. Her life story is one of power, love, and tragedy. As Egypt's last pharaoh, she remains a symbol of beauty, intelligence, and resilience, ensuring her place in history as one of the most fascinating and enduring figures of the ancient world. Cleopatra's alliances with powerful Roman figures such as Julius Caesar and Mark Antony were not just romantic, but strategic. These relationships allowed her to maintain Egypt's independence for as long as possible in the face of Rome's growing influence. Cleopatra's understanding of Roman politics was vital to her rule, as she carefully balanced her relationships to protect Egypt. One of Cleopatra's most significant moves was her visit to Rome in 46 BC, where she stayed in Caesar's villa with her son, Caesarion. This visit solidified her position in the Roman world and displayed her as a powerful ally of Caesar. Her presence in Rome was a bold statement, showcasing Egypt's importance in Roman politics. After Caesar's assassination, Cleopatra formed a deep alliance with Mark Antony. Their relationship was one of both love and political power. Antony saw in Cleopatra a strong ruler and potential ally in his struggle against Octavian for control of Rome. Together, they became one of history's most legendary couples, uniting Egypt and Rome in their fight for power. Cleopatra and Mark Antony lived a life of unparalleled luxury in Alexandria. Their palace was said to be one of the most magnificent in the ancient world, filled with art, jewels, and wealth beyond imagination. Together, they ruled over Egypt and held lavish feasts that became the stuff of legend, symbolizing their power and influence. The alliance between Cleopatra and Mark Antony eventually led to war with Rome. Octavian, Caesar's adopted son, viewed their relationship as a direct threat to his own power. The war culminated in the famous Battle of Actium, where Cleopatra's fleet, alongside Antony's forces, faced off against Octavian's naval forces in a desperate fight for survival. The Battle of Actium was a devastating defeat for Cleopatra and Antony. Their forces were overpowered by Octavian's fleet, leading to their eventual retreat. This marked the beginning of the end for both Cleopatra and Antony's rule over Egypt, as the Roman Empire began to tighten its grip on the ancient kingdom. After the defeat at Actium, Antony returned to Alexandria with Cleopatra, their forces shattered. As Octavian's armies advanced on Egypt, Antony made one final stand. His forces, however, were no match for Rome's might, and he eventually fell in battle, mortally wounded. In his last moments, he sought out Cleopatra to say farewell. With Antony dead and Rome's armies at the gates of Alexandria, Cleopatra made one final attempt to negotiate with Octavian. However, she quickly realized that there was no future for her or Egypt under Roman control. Refusing to be paraded as a trophy in Octavian's triumph, Cleopatra prepared for her final act. Legend says that Cleopatra chose to take her own life rather than be captured by the Romans. She used an asp, a venomous snake, to deliver the fatal bite. Her death marked the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty and Egypt's long history as an independent kingdom. It also secured her place as one of the most enigmatic and powerful women in history. After Cleopatra's death, Egypt became a Roman province, its wealth and culture absorbed into the expanding Roman Empire. Cleopatra's death marked the end of ancient Egypt as a political power, but her legacy continued to inspire poets, artists, and historians for centuries to come.